I'm Kurt Loder with MTV News. President Bill Clinton held the first ever presidential AIDS conference at the White House on Wednesday, a largely symbolic event at which Clinton called for researchers and pharmaceutical companies to continue to work together to find a cure for the disease. Clinton also hugged an HIV-positive person for the cameras, the hugged person being Sean Sasser, the boyfriend of Pedro Zamora, the late cast member of MTV's Real World series. Here's some of what Sasser, Clinton, and another invited AIDS activist had to say.
I will oppose any effort to undermine the research effort or the Office of AIDS Research.
I do not want to die feeling cheated or let down by my country or by my country's leaders, which is why the opportunity you have provided us today in convening this conference is so important.
Why is it taking 3 years for you to convene a conference and make a call for recommendations? The recommendations have been ample. There's been steps taken here, advocated to be taken, like legalizing needle exchange that have been talked about for 3 years. Where have you been?
I am very sorry that there is not a cure. I am very sorry that there is not a vaccine. I regret that not everything I have asked for has been approved by the Congress.
In other AIDS news, the controversial AIDS researcher Dr. Robert Gallo announced on Tuesday the identification of several natural proteins that appear to block or slow the AIDS virus. And on Wednesday, the Federal Food and Drug Administration approved a new AIDS drug called protease inhibitor. In other Washington news, President Clinton did, as promised, veto the Republican budget bill on Wednesday, citing its medical, environmental, and tax cut provisions. In Congress, meanwhile, the bipartisan House Ethics Committee voted on Wednesday to appoint an outside counsel to investigate charges that House Speaker Newt Gingrich violated tax laws with his GOPAC Political Action Committee and its role in funding a college history course that Gingrich taught in his native Georgia. In another development on Wednesday, a House Senate Conference Committee agreed to include a Senate measure in the final version of its telecommunications bill that would force television manufacturers to install special computer chips called V-chips in their sets. That would allow consumers to block out violent programs. Exactly who would decide which programs would qualify as violent remains to be announced. Also passed by the conference committee by a narrow 17-16 margin was a measure that would criminalize the transmission of pornography and, quote, indecent material over the internet. Fines for offenders could range up to $100,000 and jail time up to 5 years. President Clinton has voted to veto this Republican bill too, although for other reasons, such as the expansion of the number of TV and radio stations a company could own. As for the internet restrictions, however, civil liberties groups say it would violate free speech and point out that print media operate under no such constraints. Republican Senator Patrick J. Leahy of Vermont also pointed out that indecency means many different things to different people in different parts of the country and charged his colleagues with attempting to, quote, alter the protections of the First Amendment. Said Leahy, we must stop being paternalistic Luddites and embrace our new communications potential. That's the news for now. Do try to catch the Week in Rock this weekend at these special times, and we'll be back with more news later here on MTV.
MTV News. You hear it.